What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday, June 23rd, elections. Last time we spoke, Juneteenth. It became a national holiday. Tonight, it's Chuck and I. Kevin is taking care of some personal stuff. I'm sure he might be listening or chiming in, but whatever. Uh, Sending prayers and everything is rocking out with Kev. I'm your host, Bill Foster. This is Real Talk Chronicles, and that's my co-host tonight, Chuck Richards, and we are in the building. So, Chuck, how are you doing, man?
Brother, man, it's only Wednesday, man. But it's been really busy. It's been a lot of things that have been going off lately, man. And I want to take the opportunity to kind of share something, or just to make mention of something that I think we as a lot as brothers don't ever talk about, or we don't really mention on a normal basis, man.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it's just something just based on life as it presents itself, man. But we as black men, as much as we may be fearful of it, and sometimes we don't want to talk about it, we don't want to discuss it or come to grips with it, we sometimes have to listen to our bodies. Like God has bestowed us with the overall ability of having a sense of reason and given us the gift of being able to discern when certain things are right or wrong. And I know sometimes culturally speaking, there are a lot of us who, for lack of a better word, we have issues with me, we have issues when it comes to going to going to a doctor, or our bodies are telling us something, and for whatever reason we're a little fearful about making sure that we take care of our health. And it was what happened to me personally is that there was a couple of brothers who I knew that they were feeling things internally, with their health and with their bodies, but for some odd reason or another, they didn't listen to what was going on internally for fear of what they might have been told if they went to go see a doctor, if in fact they got examined. They were more fearful of what they might be told as opposed to being more proactive and just doing what's necessary for their well-being. And I think sometimes we as black men, and sometimes depending on the culture, we're very apprehensive of wanting to do what's necessary to take care of ourselves, to be there for our families. All I can say is that, brothers, your body. If something's not right, I don't care. I'm not saying you have to be some type of like, you're a phobia and you go to the doctor all the time. But when something's not right with your body. When something is inherently wrong, or something just isn't clicking correctly. It's nothing wrong with going to a doctor, and there's nothing wrong with actually sharing that you may be frightened about the experience, or something about it that may be jarring you or putting you in a position that you don't want to share it. But if you love your family, if you love those who are in your life, if you're a mentor, if you're a teacher, you have people that look after you, people that need your assistance, who you need to be there for, you owe it to them. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to those who love you. Go get yourself checked out. You know, your body's telling you something. Don't sit there and don't pay attention to it, man, because it's been twice already. I've gotten people that I know who have been very dear to me, other than the COVID, but who've felt something internally that was going on inside, and out of the fear of what the doctor might say, they didn't go. And then when they finally got diagnosed, it was so far that now they realize, I don't want to die. Like I want to be here. I don't want my life to end now. And I think also as black men, we're told that it's strong for us not to tell people. It's strong for us to try to hold in whatever emotions or fears that we have. I mean, women, they go through something, they don't hesitate talking to each other. They'll pick up the phone and tell their girlfriend if they've gone through an issue associated with a relationship, if they go through something they're going through hormonally, if they're going through something directly with their health. They have no problem sharing with other females. We as men have to understand that it's okay for us to do the same thing, for us to be able to share our issues and our weaknesses with one another as men, and not to feel that it makes us, it appears that we're weak because we do so. But like I said, I'm digressing. I'm just saying I've heard too many friends I've lost over the main issue of not listening to their bodies, and they could be here now if it had not been for that. And we need to start being not only more of a community, but we also have to also look at and look out for one another, especially Black men. We're more accessible to heartache. Not to heart attacks, high blood pressure. We have all these things that are against us. So that being said, it's more imperative that we do what's necessary, not just for ourselves, but to ensure the well-being of our families. But I digress. I'm just getting off. We just said yesterday, man, something touched me, and a brother that I love very much, he lost his father, and it was all because that you don't know, there were things that were ticking. And my father did the same thing. Thank God, he's still, knock on wood, he's a 3-time cancer survivor. The first time it scared him, but now he doesn't do that anymore, because based on that West Indian thing, he didn't want to go to a doctor. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he do that culture, you don't want to go. No, but after he was able to get through that first experience, he went through it again 2 other times, and he's still here because now he listens to his body, and he has to, So
wow. That's awesome. And it's so funny. I'm glad you brought that topic up. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Chuck Richards. Kevin is on assignment. So Stats is doing his thing. But, to piggyback off what Chuck was saying in regards to getting yourself checked out, I lost my father to prostate cancer. Then it turned into bone cancer, and it spread out through his whole body. So my father, when he found out that he had prostate cancer, called friends and asked them, what did they do and how did they handle it and things of that magnitude. But he sat on it. Mm-hmm. He didn't do anything about it. Then all of a sudden, we had to rush him to the hospital. To come to find out, doctor was like, yo, cancer has spread through his body. So the man that I am, I asked the doctor, I said, how long does my father have to live? And he said 2 years. And this is when I was going through the academy and stuff, and things of that magnitude. And I wanted to ask my father, I remember trying to talk to him, because, they eventually did take the prostate out, but the cancer was in his body. So that was just a procedure. But I've always wanted to ask him, and I think if I did ask him, certain things might have been a blur to me now. And when I say a blur, like you took you shortened your life for procrastinating. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask him, yo, how do you feel? Like, God forbid, in lieu of, especially the older generation people, we tend not to, we try to self-diagnose ourselves, right, medicate, using old herbs and shit, and not that
the Lord will provide, and He'll take care of me. If it's meant, the Lord will,
Nah, get up. Listen, we got doctors, and I believe in holistic medicine. I do, but I also believe in Western civilization medicine too. So sometimes you gotta, culminate them, put them two together to make you a better person. So I guess, this PSA announcement is definitely about taking care of oneself. Stefania said, I think she said when he finally went, he was in excruciating pain. And then to come to find out he had prostate cancer. Exactly. Thankfully they caught it at a time. Who is this? Is this your father that you're talking about? Yeah, it happened to your dad. Absolutely. I just saw the message. And he was also had to change we had to change our diet. This is a direct connection to our health. Absolutely. And I say this, I was just talking to a friend earlier. Please, the older you get out there and walk. Some of us, we're not running, and like I always tease people, I say, when I started developing back issues, and the doctor was like, well, we can do this and we can do that. I said, well, doc, I'm not going to the pros. So,
right.
My time is over. Right. I always tell people the year I graduated, it was a year to God. Mark Jackson, Kenny Smith, Earl Washington. I graduated with Old Polynice. So the year I came out of high school, where I was at. I was on the bench like, woo, woo, woo. These are the guys that went to the pros. I mean, I can bust the average cat's behind on some ball. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, I played college ball, but with all that being said, I just talked to a dear friend of mine. He might be listening tonight too. Diabetes. You know,
that's what I'm saying, bro.
He ended up, and he was the center for us, and ended up having part of his leg amputated.
Wow.
I was just talking to him recently, just as last week. Shout out to my man. If he comes in and says what's up, I'll ask if he doesn't mind me divulging that. But for the Hunter crew, you might know who he is, but otherwise than that, you don't know. And like I said, we talking. And I told him, I said, I'm sorry that I didn't know this, and he had to deal with this by himself, because I wouldn't have let him go through this by himself. And he was just talking about with depression and stuff like that he went through in regards to health issues. So please get up off your derrieres, people that, go get yourself checked out. What's up, Mark? I see you in the building. And, with that being said, this is Real Talk Chronicles. If you like it, subscribe to it on YouTube, share it. I see Indy coming in. India. People on the YouTube were checking us out. So yesterday was elections. I hope all of my New York City people did your due diligence and go out and vote. That certain places, I don't know if any of you had this problem, that they changed my polling site. I was like, well, I used to vote. It wasn't there anymore. I mean, it was still there, but I had to go to another location.
Mm-hmm.
It wanted to deter me from voting. This election was very different because this is the first time for ranked choice voting.
Right.
Also, I had a lot of personal friends and associates running in this election. Mm-hmm. So one of them, Eric Adams, seemed like he did very good. For the others, it seemed like they didn't do too good in the point of winning, but they are going to still, I think, try to run in the elections in November, and that's fine. And all support to them. With that being said, crime is still rampant. We have a little young boy, 2 years old, that got shot. I don't know if y'all saw that on the news. I sent a lot of information to stats. If I did, and of course, my beautiful assistant, she's out enjoying herself. She's watching, but on Facebook, she got having a good time. For me, sweetie, So there's certain things that, I mean, Chuck knows that we send each other a bunch of information all the time, but there's probably some stuff we'll try to read to you more or less, than that I won't be able to try to share screen, because that Lord knows if I try to mess up, we might be watching some nonsense. So I'm not even gonna play myself tonight with you. But what we're going to talk about the elephant in that room is gun violence. The president is trying to do something about it, supposedly. Thanks to Steph, she gave me something that the NYPD is trying to implement, and I will read it to you all. And it's called ICAT, Interrogating Communications Assessment and Tactics. I think I kind of sent this to you real quick, Chuck. But I know if you're on your phone, then you're not going to be able to pull it up unless you're at your computer. So let me just get a little brief synopsis of what this is. ICAT is a training program that provides first responding police officers with tools, skills, and options that need to successfully and safely diffuse a range of critical incidents. Developed by PERF, that's the acronyms, with input from hundreds of police professionals from across the United States. ICAT takes the essential building blocks of critical thinking, crisis intervention, communications, and tactics, and puts them together in an interrogated approach to training. ICAT is designed especially for situations involving persons who are unarmed, or are armed with weapons other than firearms, who may be experiencing a mental health or other crisis. I'm going to stop right there now. If this is just dealing with mental health, I really want to get more into this to find out more. And I think this is in the works, Chuck. But when we're talking about mental health, that's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, that's a whole different monster.
That's a whole different monster, because We know we've been taught a certain way, and correct me if I'm wrong, and you've gone from being a detective, a police officer with me, a detective, to 2 ranks in supervision. And we've always been taught EDP, contain them, let them be in a place and wait till ESU come, right? I mean, is
Right.
that basically?
Yeah, well, usually what it is with an EDP, depending on the level of how the person is reacting, 9 times out of 10, it's isolate and contain.
Mm-hmm.
Isolate and contain. You isolate them. If it means you encircle them, you box them in, you try to contain them until the big boys come. And depending on what it is, they'll put them in some type of sleeve or jacket or whatever the case may be.
Right.
EMS, you know what I mean? And then they'll get them to whatever mental institution or to any hospital they need to do, But Absolutely. It appears that for whatever reason, there's some police officers that, despite the fact they may know isolate and contain might be more prudent, I don't know. Sometimes they try to take matters into their own hands, thinking that they can talk an EDP into not being an EDP and coming peacefully.
Right.
And if you're a emotionally disturbed person and they have a mental illness, I'm sorry, you don't know when they're going to snap. We've seen that with various illustrations throughout history with the police department, Eleanor bumpers, things of that nature, where we reacted, and unfortunately, either there was a fatality, or we ended up doing something that all you needed to do was wait. Just wait. Mm-hmm. So all you had to do was just wait. I forgot the incident that occurred with the sergeant. I think they thought they had this kid isolated and contained in one room, and everything was fine. He seemed like he was normal. And then just as he was exiting the room, I think he either grabbed for a knife or an umbrella or some weapon. And then, of course, the sergeant turned around because now he was coming at him. He thought he had him under control. He thought he had him peacefully leaving the room and walking out. But as he walked out of the room, he switched, he grabbed the knife, and unfortunately, the sergeant had to shoot him. When they had him in the room, all they do was isolate and contain him, close the door, wait for the big boys, and then let them handle it as they see fit. But unfortunately, there's been too many fatalities dealing with emotionally disturbed persons. And you're talking about ICAT. So when I hear mental illness, sorry, you can't teach a cop in 6 months how to deal with somebody who's mentally ill. It's serious. I mean, let's just be point blank. If I'm not in the medical profession, you can't show me within 6 months how to deal with somebody mentally ill, other than isolate and contain. I know nothing about it. I'm not going to confront them. I'll put them in a room, box them, close the freaking door, and wait for the big boys to come. And that's how it should become.
And I honestly feel, Chuck, that I don't think anybody, I don't even care if you have somebody in your family with mental illness, dealing with somebody that you don't know, and then they see that uniform, it's still a different animal. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Differently, like we can sympathize with somebody that has prostate cancer, or sympathize with somebody that is sick. There's a level of concernment, but to deal with a loved one that has some schizophrenia or whatever mental situation that causes them to be different, you can't really just go into a new situation unbeknown to you and handle it the same way. You may feel like there may be some different kind of care given, but the bottom line is your loved one may not be picking up a weapon towards you,
right?
A dangerous instrument. A person unbeknown to you might get out of my house and then pick up something. You can't sit there and say, well, listen, my uncle Chuck, he has the same shit you got. I'm gonna talk to you. Ooh. No, that's not happening, everybody.
Right.
So I think the one thing that I'm sure I have in dealing with EDPs before, and please, everybody out there listening, when we use the acronym EDPs, it's not a derogatory statement. It's just our training, and that's what we call emotionally disturbed person, and it's just an acronym. I say all that to say that I think the best thing is isolate and contain until people come in and do what they have to do, especially if the person is showing that they can be harmful to others. I don't know how officers in the past have taken it upon themselves, like you just mentioned earlier, to engage and then find themselves in a situation where their only resort is using a firearm. And then it happens a lot with people of color. You know, I had somebody try to come at me not too long ago and say that I deal with issues and stuff like this, but they don't want to deal with the elephant in the room. And it's a shame that they're on the job and they're a person of color too. But, you know, they're Joe Cop all 24/7. And if you're listening, I'm talking about you. Yes. I don't want to call your name. I'm talking about your podcast. I'll mention you. Trust me on that. That's real talk. You know what I'm saying? Right. Good evening. Right. Good evening, a guy. Mark said, quality of life means a lot, B. As we get older, things certainly change. I remember my neck, my back, my toe was a song. Yeah, exactly. In my 50s, there's a pain at times. But you're absolutely right. Get checked out, men and women. Absolutely. Kat saying, she says, I like Kat based on what I've heard on the news. Exactly. You know what's so funny? You know, for dealing with this situation, ICAT, it's something to deal with. You know, I had a conversation with Stats, for all those that know, that's Kevin's nickname. And we were talking about training, and, you know, we talk about these training people and stuff like that. And then I had to tell him one time, I said, well, when's the last time a person that was doing training been in the field? You understand what I'm saying? Think about it. Right. You know, you and I know we get on this job. It's about working, and not that we didn't do what we did, but it's also about getting an inside position where we can get away from the street. You know what I'm saying? Because not every police officer is afraid of crime, but we want to get off the street. And not that we won't go back out and still touch it, like in narcotics. If you worked inside, you still could go out on search warrants or special cases that they asked you for your services, especially me being a ghost, and I was good at what I did. And I'm telling you I was good because that's what people said. I don't have to toot my own horn. You can have any officer that comes on here that's worked with me that'll tell you that. With that being said, Chuck is a supervisor. He's going to have to go out on certain things, maybe pertaining to what unit or field he's working in. But the bottom line is, you have these training officers. We've had them in the TAC house, Chuck. You know, you've worked at the range. There's sometimes these people, you be like, okay, you want to tell me how to handle this business. But the last time you was out in the street was in 1992. Right. What are you going to tell me right now in 2021? You understand what I'm saying? Right. And the situation that you may have had, and I'm not saying people are not supposed to get into situations, because somebody could try to say that about me. Oh, Bill, the last time you was in the street wrestling and tussling with somebody was in 2008. Yeah, but I stayed in the field my whole career. You know what I'm saying? So the one situation that one person may have, I've had continuously, you know, multiple times. Right. I say all that to say that sometimes we get a training officer and then you want to talk about tactics and shooting. That's not happening in the street. It's not happening in the street. You know, you can talk. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not discrediting any training officer all the way. But what I'm trying to say is that it's easy to tell me, sitting behind the little computer, to tell me, oh, you should have got behind the mailbox, you know, because you've been doing right. You know, you've been doing this computer game a lot, so it's repetitive. Right. You know, totally different when we're in the street. And now I see a situation and somebody got a knife or he's acting like he's volatile. Unbeknown to us if he has a gun, and we rush it, we get out of our car, you know, because tactically we all can slip. The greatest of tactics, myself, Chuck, whomever, Kevin, we can all slip for a minute because we get caught into what's actually happening and we rush into a scene. Because we're looking for the crime. We're looking for the crime. So we're looking for the crime. We're not looking, unless it depends on what the call is. Gun, man with gun. Of course, then we're going to come up a different way. You know, man with knife. It's different. You know, it's still a weapon, but it's a totally different game. You know, we know gun can beat knife. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know, gun is a whole different animal. Right. So I say all that to say, to get back to this topic, And so it says, crisis. ICAT is designed especially for situations involving persons who are armed and unarmed. I read that, with weapons other than firearms, and who may be experiencing a mental health or other crisis. The training program is anchored by the critical decision-making model that helps officers assess situations. Now, Chuck, how the hell is a person going to be able to do all this assessing in seconds?
In seconds. That's what I don't understand. I was reading it and I was like, okay. And then it says what they do is they take them through various scenarios. Okay, and I get it. All right, because we all did that in the academy, right? You got an EDP, you got a certain stressful situation. They take you through various scenarios. But as we know, all scenarios have variations, and this is all happening almost lightning speed. It's happening in real time. How much assessment? How's a cop going to be able to assess somebody coming immediately after them who's mentally ill with a knife?
Right.
What scenario? What scenario is that going to fit in? You know what I mean? So, and then they're talking about. I think the basis of this is that's supposed to be time, distance. That's so you can make a decision. But it's kind of hard to make a decision if you have somebody that's acting, let's say, recklessly, or are acting in a dangerous manner, or they're acting because they're mentally ill. And now you have to make an assessment and make a decision within a couple of split seconds. So, yeah. I mean, I applaud the fact that this is what they want to implement. And I can understand why, because maybe there's been a great deal of incidents that have occurred with the police department that have to do with us not responding properly, or not knowing, or not being trained properly in how to assess a situation. And usually a lot of officers, unfortunately, are just going on sheer instinct. It's not that they haven't been trained. It's just that for whatever reason, sometimes they're going off of sheer instinct. And now you need to fine tune it. And it appears that from what I'm reading, this ICAT thing has been something that's been used across the board by other police departments for quite some time. So my question is, what took us so long then? It sounds silly, but
but you're right.
What took us so long?
How long does it take for something to happen before somebody comes up and says, whoa, let's come up with a different type of training? Now, how the hell you're gonna use ICAT? And and please, everybody, don't get us wrong. We're not saying training is not worth it. Oh, absolutely. And listen, any training is great, but you're gonna have to really show me how to deal with the EDP. And when you say, because basically I'm assuming they're taking information from all over the world or the country, whomever. So, but are you asking the Chucks and the Bills and the Kevins that was just dealing with an EDP yesterday how to deal with an EDP, or you're asking the person that hasn't dealt with an EDP in 20 years? You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, right now, a person yesterday that just dealt with an EDP can teach me about how to deal with an EDP. I can tell you what I'm going to try to do in lieu of, if somebody says, yo, Central, eight real talk, we got an EDP, blah, 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 male, maybe he has a knife. All right, Chuck and I, we're gonna roll up on this. Listen, if he's in his house, and because now we need the citizens of the community to tell us, okay, yo, he's over there, he's in the store, he's over there, he's in his apartment. Maybe his wife or his sister, or whomever, told us, oh no, he's in there. Oh, does he have a knife? He has a knife. Yeah, well, he got a lot of knives in there. He's in the kitchen and shit. Oh, okay. Don't get smart. You know what I'm saying? like
right.
Trying to find out right now. So, right. Okay, now, boom. Is the door locked? It's open. If the door is locked, I don't have to open that door to say, excuse me, and then have the person come lunging at me. Central, right. Be advised. Man is inside, and nobody else inside the house? No. Okay, good. He can stay in there. Central, be advised. Man is in the house. He can only harm himself.
True.
Send
right.
ESU to come snatch.
Send the cavalry. Exactly.
Listen, somebody got to tell a story, B. And I'm not the cat that's getting stabbed up on it. Now, for transparency, Chuck and I are only going in that house if there's another human being in there in fear of danger. Is that correct, Chuck? Right?
Yes, right.
That is the only time.
Right. That's the only time we're entering. But if we know he's in there, he's by himself, and he's yelling and screaming and carrying on. He's throwing dishes, he's hollering. He's talking about kill everybody in here. Guess what? Are you in it? No, I'm here by myself. Oh, okay. No problem. Stay in there by yourself. Let me make the phone call. Bring the big boys in. I'm standing right outside the door. Do what you got to do, man. You smash, destroy. You want to rip up mattresses. Do whatever you got to do.
Exactly. I ain't buy that shit. I mean, and I'm saying that in joke. I'm saying that in jest, everybody. But real talk, that's what happens when you work and be like, yo, I'm not going in there.
Right. Exactly.
Listen, let me tell you all something. For those that know, I've been in martial arts 30-some years, right? And I've done countless knife attacks in the dojo, simulated attacks with the knife, the stick, this and all that. All that is cute. You grab, strike. Listen, when we did it real, like in the dojo that I was doing it, everybody was getting stabbed. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, he was like, "Oh, ow, oh." Right?
Yeah.
The moral of that story is, you're going to get stabbed, regardless of whom you are.
Right.
You're going to get cut some way, somehow. Not that you may not be able, because it depends on the strike. It depends. In training, you're saying do it this way. In simulation, the academy, the gun here, this. Anytime when you see certain things, they're giving you a situation. In real life, you don't know what that situation is until it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And still, fear, nervousness, it's a totally thing. Unless you've been shot at, like I've been shot at. When that bullet whistled and hit that wall, I was like, "Oh,
this is real."
This ain't Fast and Furious 9. This is some real shit right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that you didn't hear that pew, you heard that pew. You was like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
That bullet go into that wall, you was like,
Right.
So listen, I say all this, I try to add some humor to it, but in actuality, it's a different world out there. So please, understand that things are really different. Like I said, we're talking about gun violence. New York City over the weekend, before 10 people. What the president and vice president trying to put some gun things out there. I can ask you all to Google them and check them out yourself. But Chuck, now don't get me wrong, I'm a gun buff. I got into guns, of course, when we were kids, we played with toy guns and stuff like that. And then, of course, when we get on this job, Chuck, this is the last thing we want to touch is a gun now. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
Because we know the gun has always been we have been taught that the gun can be your worst enemy and you get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Either hanging out, doing certain situations, whatever the case may be. But thank God that we have it, because it can lead us to different jobs, and also we can protect our families and ourselves. So, and do I really like guns? Yes, I do. I say all that to say, New York is very strict on guns. And there are so many people that try to get guns and they asking me, what can I do? LS and B, I can't help you. There are other places, Commonwealth states, PA, DC, Maryland, Maryland is kind of hard, but then, there's certain places, the further you go south, all you got to do is take your driver's license, you go purchase a gun. Right?
Yeah, you go to a grocery store, get a loaf of bread and get a freaking shotgun and walk out the same place with it.
Yo, you can go to Dick's.
Yeah,
Dick's,
right. A sports store. The rack of it. What do you want?
Cabela's,
Ammo,
exactly.
Yeah.
Ammunition, all that. The whole kit and caboodle. You can get it online. You know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What would you do? First and foremost, give me your feelings on, crime and firearms, and then give me your assessment on if somebody was sitting down with Chuck and asked him what would he like to try to implement or do and to deter gun violence. And we understand, we hear about, people always want to talk about, we showed stats last week about the person saying about how they try to say more people of color are committing crimes, but they're being arrested more than being prosecuted. So keep that in your ears, everybody. But the guns are not bought in if you want to say ghetto communities, communities with that are not economically the same. So Chuck, give me some insight on what you would do, or how do you feel about what's happening? Because this new mayor, whomever this new mayor is, and hopefully it's Eric Adams, he's going to have to come in, and public safety is the key right off the gate. Because, and let me just say this to everybody out there that are listening, if you're a Republican or Democrat, it doesn't make a difference. Republican states are just as much crime as Democratic states in cities. So knock it off. Go ahead, Chuck.
Well, first, when we look at the overall issue surrounding guns, we have to look at universally, New York City, yes, has been very stringent in terms of permitting anyone, right, to have a firearm. But like I said, it's kind of hard to gauge and to keep guns out of New York State or out of New York City when you have all these other states where their overall methodology of even letting someone apply for a gun has to be with, look, hey, if you're a resident of this community for 30 days, hey, guess what? You can purchase a gun. I mean, it's all good. And that being said, a lot of those who, if in fact are, let's say, on the wrong side of the dial, who are gun dealers, that's what they do. They go to these particular other places. They go to these gun shows. They go to these particular places where the overall gun issues and being able to purchase a gun are so lax that they can pay someone else who is a resident of that particular state to purchase the guns for them, and then they can just commute them and bring them back up here to New York or any of these other states for that matter. So the bottom line is, first, and let's be clear, the neighborhoods we live in and people want to play like they don't, look, not for nothing, you live in a particular community, you've been in that block, you've been living in that neighborhood for maybe 15, 20, 30 years. You know who's doing what in your neighborhood. You know who's rocking. You know who the neighborhood drug dealer is. You know who the guy that runs the numbers. You know the cat that's doing some shit that's shady. You know cats that are bringing or dealing or have guns. Sometimes guys go up on the roofs when they get guns when they come into communities, and they go up to the roof and they wait till the 4th of July or a certain time of the day, and you hear gag, 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 and you say, oh man, that's Rob again. That cat, man. Jesus Christ, that guy, man. You know that. As a community, for whatever reason, and you know that guns are creating a problem, and that same gun that you taken very lightly, because you know Rob, that's what he does. I'm sorry, as a community, first we have to address the people we know that have these guns in the community. And sometimes you may feel like you're a rat because you don't want to freaking pick up the phone and tell local law enforcement, oh man, not for nothing, there's this cat that lives in this freaking block, man. This guy's got guns up the wazoo. He goes up to the roof. He's busting off freaking rounds. But those same guns are the guns that at some point, somewhere, somehow, they're either going to shoot a little kid, they're going to shoot some innocent bystander, some kid's going to be walking to school or sitting in their home or taking a bus. I mean, just recently, right? It was a city bus, right? I think a gun like flew out of the window right near Eric Adams' office. The guy just, I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. So first and foremost, the federal government, the president, there has to be an actual mandate, a uniformed mandate in terms of gun control. There has to be a certain set of rules federally that's put into place that unfortunately every state should have to adhere to, or they have to narrow the scope of someone being able to qualify to buy a firearm because these firearms are ending up in the wrong hands. And as we see, it's just not here in New York. The overall shootings is in Chicago, Maryland, even some of these places in the state. I mean, in terms of down south, their numbers are rising too because people are just being shot left and right. So once again, man, I mean, it takes a community. We know who in our neighborhood sometimes is running around freaking shooting off guns on the roof and has the firearms, but the federal government has to actually put some type of federal mandate in that there has to be a formula that every state has to follow in order to ensure to narrow the scope of who has their hands on these guns. And that's, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, like to have a firearm, I think, like I employ everybody that, if you can get one, to get one, just for safety reasons. And when I say safety reasons, I'm talking about you being attacked. For ladies, I beg you to learn how to shoot a gun. I always try to teach Malika what to do. God forbid something happens, load it, shoot it,
Mm-hmm.
I think the guns in the right mind, in the hands, people will never shoot, because the bottom line is, Chuck, like I said, you and I, we're riding down the street, we're driving, say somebody cuts us off, we're gonna be like, yeah, you ick, you clown, blah, 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 but we're not getting out the car.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And after a while, we're gonna be like, yo, go ahead. You're a clown.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. And I'm trying to be nice because we're on social media, everybody. You know what words I really want to use. I say all that to say, but if a person pulls out, if you come to me and I have a firearm, at least I know I can defend myself. See, that's where it's at. And I think when you really understand what you have and not going to use, you're more inclined to not engage. There are some people that their private parts are big as the gun that they carry. You know what I'm saying? They're very tough when they have a firearm. And I'm just talking about anybody. I'm not. This is not any about different ethnicity. We've seen it. What happened? A police officer. It was, I think, a sergeant in the past, some years ago, got caught up dealing with somebody's woman, and the guy confronted him, and he shot the dude because the dude was about to give him some hands, and he shot the dude, and he was like, "Oh, he tried to do this and tried to do that." But then the video showed like dude confronted him, and he was like, "Yo," because he got too comfortable. So it can come back to hurt us. Let me see. I see James said, I have a theory as the best way to facilitate a decrease in crime is to get smart and stop using the defund the police narrative, which has only antagonized the police across the country. And people, of course, hold on, I'm sorry, police narrative. I think law enforcement who feel civilians don't appreciate the hard work they do. So cops are saying, you don't appreciate us, now watch us do nothing. And that's what's happening right now, to see how you like that. It's not what you do, it's how you say it. You're totally right. Officers, officers are not doing anything. Chuck knows it, I know it. Kevin knows it. Officers are not doing anything right now. They hate de Blasio. Some officers hate liberals. They hate Democrats. They're Republicans. And just to speak about that, the first person got sentenced from January 6th. And you know what he got?
What?
He got like warning of admonish. He got probation.
Really?
Yes.
For storming the Capitol.
Storming the Capitol. So I can't wait to see stats when he comes back, because he wanted to run all these names and numbers of all these people that got arrested. And
generally 9 times out of 10, that's going to be the precedent, because if they start with that one guy, unless there was something, I guess, that was totally done egregious, they got caught with, let's say, some documents, or they shredded some type of, anything directly in those offices. And if all they did was storm and they locked those cats up, I get you. It's just going to be a precedent. All right, we just give you probation. We're going to give you probation. We're going to give you watch. It's going to be an systemic sentencing of them just all getting probation. Watch.
Yeah, and if that's going to be, like you said, Chuck, the president, then everybody's going to get slapped on the wrist.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he was in, like I said, check everybody out there. I had the article, but of course, like I said, I'm a 9, not a 10, so I'm not really computer savvy like that. So I mean, I'm great in 9 other things. That 110, that one. That's what it is, y'all. That's what it is.
Right.
Try to act like
don't have me going to other screens, because forget it. I'm gonna lose all of y'all.
I lose the whole
something that
lose the whole show. I'll be putting up some shit. So something I don't know what will be coming up. James said, "This is how to build back the positive relationship between the police and the community, and lessens the possibility of negative outcomes with these EDP situations." Definitely. Steph said, Maya is 2 guys. What do you think about her? You talk about the female lady that ran for Maya was well.
Oh, Maya. Mm-hmm.
I think she is that typical. You live in a glass house and throw stones. You talking about defunding law enforcement, but you were in charge of you were head of CCRB for 6 years. So, what better person to administer a punishment to a police officer than CCRB? Because Chuck knows, just like I know, none of us wanted to go to CCRB. That's the last thing we wanted. Is CCRB. So the fact that you were the chief knocker,
mm-hmm.
you was a queen in charge. You didn't do anything. I mean, so man, and then people, let's understand. Let's stop talking about defunding. That is another elephant in the room. People talk about defunding. What are you defunding? What are you actually taking away? Are you talking about no more hiring of police officers? What are you talking about? Stop giving them equipment, more equipment? Are you talking about, what are you actually talking about when you say defunding? When you talk about training, let's talk about maybe putting more money into the background investigation, because that is that's really where it's at. Mm-hmm. And they've held enough people of color off the job. Now the job is very diverse. Yes, there's a lot of Latins and a lot of African Americans, but are they really Latins and African Americans by skin only? Maybe not by soul and spirit. You understand what I'm saying? Because I've had to explain to a lot of my white officer friends, why do you think people of color are speaking out so much now? Because they're retired. They don't owe you anything. You can't do anything to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about working some security job. Mm-hmm. I personally don't. Maybe somebody else may need a little side gig, and they know you're the link, so they don't want to ruffle your feathers. So they're gonna laugh at your funny jokes. So they're gonna listen to you talk about animals and savages. I personally don't. I don't need you. You understand? I've been blessed to have some other investments and things of that magnitude, and I'm good. There are some people out there that they left, but they're not financially right. Well, I'm not somebody to tell, but the vision was so prominent when 45 was in office. How many white officers did you stop speaking to, Chuck? You know what I'm saying? And it was almost kind of scary to talk to your white friends to find out how they felt or how you felt, because it was going to divide and conquer. You know what I'm saying? It was like, if we're not on the same page, blessings to all those that kind of were like-minded. Even if you were a Republican, you were like-minded, you stayed over there. That was cool. For people over here that just, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of Republicans that didn't like Trump. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It didn't mean that they didn't believe in law and order or stuff like that, or they believe, but they wasn't co-signing them. But then, like we said, there was 74 million people that did. That's scary.
That's scary.
And he still has a lot of power. He got I don't know. He must got pictures of a lot of these cats with peanut butter on themselves.
I don't know what it is, man, because it's scary.
Yeah, dancing with little baby monkeys. I don't know what. I don't know what he got. He got something on these people, man. And I'm just jumping back and forth, but everybody, this is real talk. So, what would y'all like to see? What would you all like to see happening with guns? Let's stop talking about defunding. I think the PALs and schools like that, they can bring them back. There's money in the budget. Don't think if you defund the police officer, it's not going to NYCHA. It's not going to that. It's not going to the PALs that we used to play and love. It's not happening. It's not going to go back to the educational system. Nope.
Right? It's not going to go back. It's not going to put any types of products and services back into the schools, like the gyms, or maybe the music programs or the art programs that were really prevalent in a lot of the schools. So you want to defund the police department? All right, fine. You're right. Let's categorically state what it is you want to defund. But if, let's say, you do defund the police department, I get it. Where's that money truly going to go? And where is it truly going to be utilized that is going to merit taking it from the police department, and it's going to do something directly for communities? Because every time I turn around, they talk about taking money from one of these large bureaus. You never find out where the money went. Like, you don't know what happened to it.
No.
Well, we're going to cut the budget. So we're going to cut your budget by $2 million, X, Y, Z. Okay, well, that $2 million, where exactly is it going? Where is it going to be utilized? Is it going back into the community where it's needed most? No, it ends up someplace with some infrastructure nonsense or what, I don't know. But it never benefits the community whenever they do any type of cuts from anywhere. And if any place where it should go back, if you told me you're taking money from the police department because it's going to go back into the public school system, okay, I'm with it. Make it happen. That's it. Where it's going to benefit the city the most. Not all of a sudden that now we can build that bridge or we can do some repairs on the train station. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Listen, it kills me to see the people in power not doing anything, because the bottom line is you got. Oh, that's another thing we're talking about the homeless. They're taking them out to hotels first and foremost.
Right.
For if you're not in New York and you're listening to me from other places, Canada, Detroit, Boston, I don't know what they're doing there, but this is specifically for my New York people. How do you feel about even the fact that they took the homeless off the streets and they put them in the hotels? Now they're about to kick them out the hotels.
Send them back to the shelters.
Yeah, the shelters.
But the question is this: all right, so you relocated them from the hotels out of the shelters. Now you're sending them back to the shelters. In the absence, I know it was COVID, but did you make any modifications, any improvements? Did you do anything that would make it accessible for them to go back there and be able to function with the issues that might have pushed them out initially? And some of the people that are homeless, unfortunately, have mental health issues. Some of them have medical issues. Are you now going to put them back in the shelter with the expectation or having the services somewhat revised so it can make it more comparable for them to be there? Because when you speak to somebody that's homeless, I mean, I don't know about the many people. Like, I remember when it was cold, and sometimes you would wonder, like, yo, man, it's like 20 degrees out here. Like, I don't want to be out here. Why is this cat laying out here when he could possibly go to a shelter? And then there's been many times when I was a cop, you say, interview with someone, man, I'm sorry, we got to take you to the shelter. And for some odd reason, the homeless person would say to me very clearly, brother, that's the last place I want to be. Yeah. I don't want to go to that shelter. I don't want to go in that shelter. You don't know what happens in these shelters. You don't see what they do or what occurs in them shelters. I'd rather be out here in the street sleeping on this bench in the cold than going to the shelter. Yeah. So has that situation been at least revised or modified or made it in such a way that it's conducive for these homeless people to go into, because right now they're living on a hot, in the hotels. They were living on the top of the hall. Like, wow, we got hot water. We actually got a bath that's clean, a bedroom that's clean.
Yeah.
I mean, just simplistic stuff. You know what I mean? But for some odd reason, I don't think every one of these shelters are providing those basic services, and they don't want to go back, and rightly so.
And it's also like we also know, Chuck, like, yeah, people go to jail, but jail is not, it doesn't reform you. It's just, it's a place, it's a place of cards. Just I'll give y'all a real talk moment. I just got this from 1010 Wins. Police are searching for a man who allegedly shot another man in the face on a Bronx street on Sunday. The 42-year-old victim was walking near the corner of St. Paul's Place and 3rd Avenue in Claremont Village around 12:50 a.m. on Sunday when the man approached him and shot him in the face. The NYPD said yes Wednesday. Oh, how nice is that? The victim was taken to New York City Health and Hospital St. Barnabas in stable condition, police said. Thank God to get shot. The gunman fled the scene after. Yeah, wow. The gunman fled the scene after the shooting. The NYPD said he was last seen wearing a white T-shirt embolized with the words "original," light jeans and white sneakers, according to the police. Anyone with the information of his whereabouts is asking to call NYPD Crime Stoppers, blah, 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 blah. You know, just, you know, everybody, you know, there's so many things. I don't even ask people to listen to Citizen app anymore and things of that magnitude, because that'll just have you discouraged and live in a box. You don't even want that. You know, cops bust a homeless man for attempted Midtown rape. Oh, there was a thing about this. This is how the city is getting crazy. I got footage of a man pleasuring himself in 42nd Street. Now, you know, that's a commercial area right now.
Wow.
I'll send it to you. Pleasuring himself out in the street, like, come get this.
Wow.
Like this is a porno movie. It was just crazy.
Well, you know, it's crazy because this whole issue with, let's say, Washington Square Park, right? I mean, I remember when I was growing up in the 80s, I mean, I remember Washington Square Park was, if you wanted anything, you can go to Washington Square Park. Forget it. It's on and popping. You know? You know what I'm saying? You wanted, don't worry, go to Washington Square Park, kid. Don't worry about it. You can get it in Washington Square Park no matter what you want.
You can get anything. You can get
anything.
You can get
anything you want.
And you were scared to go in the bathroom because back then, that's when
you might run up on something.
Get raped. A man might get raped.
My man might, you know, like, yo. So you knew when it, watch my back when I go use the bathroom because I'm
Come get me. Yeah, exactly.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But now, like, all of a sudden, after once again, you want to defund the police department, but the police department did everything necessary to clean that area out. And I'm sorry, and I give a lot of the credit to the narcotics division, because the narcotics division went through there like with reckless abandonment and did everything they could to pretty much clean that whole area up. So now all of a sudden it's taking a step back almost to the 80s, because now you got hypodermic needles, you got cats slinging in the park. Obviously, guys are having open sex and gals all up in the park, and it's reverted back to what it was in the 80s. And that's, once again, it's directly related to us, rather the police department not being able to utilize the tools that they once did in order to thwart issues like that. And as much as the liberals that live in that neighborhood probably felt the same way, they probably felt very clearly, hey, you know what, we wanted the police has too much power and too much this and too much that. But now you see them on TV talking about, where are the police? Well, where are they? Why aren't they doing their job? I mean, I live right across the street. I got to deal with this every single night, every single day. Now you want them to step in. You want them to take some type of action to ensure that you can get things back to some semblance of being civilized. But once again, the police are saying, hey, look, the methodologies that we once used in order to ensure that this park stayed clear, that's not what you want us to do anymore. So now you got to get the Parks Department involved. Police Department has to get involved. You're having meetings. Let's find a medium in the middle so we could address this issue. And then right after they have the meeting, what happens? I think, if I'm correct, the night after the meeting, I think 2 people got stabbed or something in the park or something like that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you know, I don't know. There are people that's going to blame it on the Republicans and, I mean, the Democrats and the liberals. There's going to be people, you know, you can keep blaming it on whoever you want to. A monster is a monster. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you want to blame it on. The problem is we know that it needs to stop. It needs to be handled because, like you said, you didn't have a problem walking through that park. Now let's Chuck, you and I we're gonna deal with the elephant in the room too. Hold on. What's up, Cabrera? What's up, Colin? Mark, I just want to read your comments to what you guys said. Before I say what I just said, Mark said the oath is still the oath. Finance isn't a term only used when things are going well. I agree. The funding the police sounds dumb, but the job still has to be done. A soldier, Marine, or airman can't shut it down because they hate the president. Absolutely. Police officers are the everyday heroes that need support to help fight the common thug. Bad apples do exist, but the job still must be done. Steph, she said you like the perks. Cabrera said, why would I want to see him F ups to held accountable for their actions? I must have missed what you meant by that. Let's see. Okay, we people chiming in. What's up, Trace? I'm just trying to catch up to you guys. On the administration, Cabrera said on administration, they have used money and not used the property towards the Black and brown communities. Where in the PAL, why aren't the gyms open the summertime to keep the kids out of the street and keep them safe inside the schools? I totally agree. Steph said, nope, the shelters are in probably in worse condition. Absolutely. James said, nothing but a shell game, moving them from one place to the other without giving them the help and services they need to become viable citizens. Absolutely. Mark said, absolutely. PAO was a great thing in the inner cities. The richest country wants to cut the budget that helps protect people. Makes no sense. We really have find out who really is behind this. Exactly. Cabrera, where's the money for the mental health? The mayor used $1 billion towards mental health, and they didn't know where the money went. You're right. It's sure he needs to get his ass checked out too, because I think I think it's
maybe him and his whole family wasn't sitting around smoking weed all the time. I'm sorry, did I just say that?
No, you can say it. Listen, dog, say it, man. Listen,
Oh my God.
Listen. I think the one thing, I don't think there's anybody that likes the mayor today. No one likes dude, man. You know what I'm saying? So I think we are all waiting for Christmas, waiting for see dude go. So and it's just crazy. I forgot, I lost my train of thought. We were talking about just oh my God, we were just talking about so many different things with downtown, uptown. I know for a fact that a lot of crimes that only make the news, that are newsworthy, uptown, and Chuck, you know this, what happens in communities of color, only if it really becomes newsworthy, it makes the news. But, and no disrespect, and I say this, please, because I don't want people to think I'm talking against any white person or any other different ethnicity. I'm not. But I have no problems talking about the situation that happened to people of color first. And, we built the country. We stole the country. I mean, they took it from us. I always say this all the time. We need to put some of this money back and reform. You want to defund? Let's change the whole school system. Mm-hmm. Stop teaching kids when they come into school that we were slaves first. Because that's the first thing you hear. First thing you hear, oh, you were a slave, Christopher Columbus, the Indians and this and that. I don't want to hear about Ponce de Leon. No more. I don't give a damn about no Nina, no Pinta, no Santa Maria. I don't care, yo. Mm-hmm. Yo, listen, tell us about how we were kings and queens first. Because
I mean, doesn't that also go across that whole thing with certain schools or certain places not wanting to teach CRT because it's the truth, it's the basis of racism, and for whatever reason they want to shun and run away from that, but they'd rather talk about us being slaves and all this other nonsense. But anything that's on a positive level to really address the systemic racism that has been prevalent throughout in terms of criminal justice, having directly to do with jobs and opportunity, no, we don't want to teach that because we feel that's only going to further separate blacks and whites. No. Let's talk about it, because you have no problem telling me about Woodrow fucking Wilson and fucking George Washington and all these other cats who have plantations and full of slaves and all that. But now we want to talk about something that we feel, let's really talk about the real elephant in the room. No, we don't need, let's not discuss that. Let's leave that out of the curriculum.
And that's my whole point. Why? And thank God for being intelligent enough to read. Thank God for having me personally, having conscious individuals in my life that have made the pathway. Chuck, you bet me the first time we was in the academy, Chuck can tell you, I was getting in trouble in there talking.
Yeah. I was like, let me come help this cat, man. What's going on?
That was the liaison for the Guardians at the time. And I had to pull up to the side. I was like, yo, they couldn't help me because they were talking about Rocky King or something, and some black shirt. And I had told one cat I was going to punch him in his mouth. I was like, yo, I wasn't having that, man. Yep. So, Chuck was like, he always teased me about that, everybody. That's transparency. And that's a true story. He's like, he was like, yo, this dude was already, I was already pushing the envelope back then. I wasn't even out the academy yet. I was like pulling him to the side, like, yo, dog, boy coming at me.
Oh, man, that was so funny, man.
And listen, I always tell a person.
I have to admit, man, you definitely gave my rite of passage, because now, me being a delegate of the Guardians, I had to come full throttle. But no, we ain't going that route. This is what we doing. And I was like, my man put me on ice. I had to come out swinging with a baseball bat right out of the gate. And I said, yeah, you got a guy here. You need to come see him. What's his name? There's a Bill Foss. I'm like, oh, Bill. Trial by fire, baby. Trial by fire.
Yo, everybody out there, let me tell you something, man. Chuck will tell you. Chuck knows my career. You can get in trouble. Yo, guys that hate you because you're cute. You know what I'm saying? People will try to take your job for all kind of shit, man. It is what it is.
That's true.
But I'm just saying, to get back to that, let's change the school system. We're gonna get some teachers on here and talk about that, the education. Why can't we do that? For those that have voted, please let me know what you want to see. I see a lot of us are talking about Eric Adams, which is good. Let me see what I can see if I missed anything, or what any of you are talking about. Where said Eric Adams is a better fit for mayor than this bum idiot that we have in there now. Absolutely. James said also Eric Adams. Did the people that you voted for, did they win? Everybody, I hope you voted. Please, if you didn't vote, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing to me, because
more importantly, if you didn't come out and you didn't vote in terms of this primary, please, the cat who's going to be running against him is this Curtis Sliwa dude, and he had that EDP freaking Giuliani up there on the podium endorsing him and all that. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So if you didn't come out for the primary and Eric Adams pulls it off, which I know he will, please, you got to come out in this general election. I do not want to turn this freaking city over to this knucklehead
Curtis Sliwa.
Curtis.
Yo,
he's like, I'm like, what? I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. At first, I didn't even know he was even running until the night of, when I was looking at the election. And then I saw the other cat, Mateo, talking about he's running as a Republican and he loves Trump. And I was like, I just had to shut it off, man. I couldn't take it myself.
Yeah. Listen,
but when I saw him up there, I was like, you got to be kidding me, man.
Yeah, Mateo lost a lot of, I can't believe, So, we're gonna talk about them real quick right now, because I definitely want to get into Curtis Sliwa's ass and because any buffoon still wearing a red tam, you know what I'm saying, and only got 2 guardian angels to his credit, guardian angels ain't stopped shit. Let me tell you something, I never forget one time a friend of mine, she was like, yo, he was dating a guardian angel. And she was like, yeah, we was on the train, and every time the train stopped, he would look out. I said, that was I said, his ass is scared. He said, the fact that you was, I said, girl, you got all impressed with that little the little beads hanging from his belt.
And then push came shot. I think it was maybe one or two incidents where, in fact, they actually had to defend something. Right. Found out later down the line that it was actually staged. That it wasn't really a true encounter. It was all staged to try to give some prominence to the Guardians and Eric's, in terms of Sleewa himself, Curtis Sleewa, because he did some stuff. He did some martial arts. He beat some people up in the trunk, and it was staged.
Did he get beat up too? He did. Let me tell you something. Him and Jerome Mackey, they got their ass on the shit back in the day. I never think I was gonna go to Jerome Mackey. I paid my money, right? And then, he got beat up in the alley. I didn't even go back to that school no more. He got beat up in the
Oh my God, man!
Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody can get caught. I can even get caught too, but you really got to catch me sleeping to catch me. Listen, I don't care how old I get. I'm not gonna take no ass whipping in no street right now. I told you. I'm letting you know on social media. Listen. All right. But like my man James said, he said, but this is how they attempt to erase history by claiming that any mention of racism becomes critical race theory and should be banned. They can't. Oh, and James, I'm just going to abbreviate that. Critical. There are certain places that have voted not to add critical race theory. You know what I'm saying? Like certain places. Yeah. Also, too, there. What is it? Was it 15? Or a certain amount of cities that refused to make Juneteenth a holiday. Mm-hmm. How racist are you?
Right.
That you don't even want a free day off from work. Mm-hmm. You like, no, right. I don't care. I'd rather go to work. Don't make it a holiday. Think about that, everybody. So he says, they can't deal with the racist history and the lack of humanity by their ancestors. Cabrera said, I do got to say, Bill always kept it real in narcotics. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. So, everybody, you listening.
I think it was even, was it Kevin that said he saw something on Facebook about a comment about Juneteenth? He said something about, what was it? Any June, are there going to be any Juneteenth sales, or is everything going to be free? And it was posted on Facebook. Yeah. And of course, Facebook felt that, it didn't really break any policies or anything, so they didn't take it down. But just the mere fact that somebody went in so far as putting that, are they going to be sales, or are things just going to be given away for free? I mean, that's just ridiculous.
And it was done by a cop. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was done by a police officer.
Oh, that's what it was. Oh, okay, thanks, Cabrera. He got shot. Let's see. James Baker said, "Watch and see how many Whippo votes for Sleazy Silver." Yeah, exactly. They all vote for him because of his crazy right-wing radio program. Is that the worst show ever? I would love to debate with this dude. Oh, he got shot by some mobsters. He got shot by Gotti. They're talking that nonsense. They wasn't having that nonsense. Listen, everybody, please. You can really dislike a lot of things about, if you want to say Democrats, whomever. If you don't want to vote for Eric Adams because he was a former police officer and he's black, I don't know. We had Garcia. She was running for office. She's not really Garcia. She tried to say that she was Spanish. She was trying to bamboozle a lot of our Latin brothers and sisters. And then they was like, well, wait a minute. That's your maiden name. Oh, but I have children that have Spanish. I have children that are Spanish. That's not you.
That's not you. That don't count. Yo no sé.
Listen, no, let's not get it twisted, everybody. Right. Maya, she has private security. Mm-hmm. Like I said, these people, you gotta really look at how they're dealing with certain things. Andrew Yang, or whatever his last name is, Yang. He's conceded already. Now he wants to help anybody. Nobody wants your help. Shut up. F up, dog. Nobody got no love for you, dog. I don't know how Ray McGuire did. He was my second choice. What's up, Michelle? How are you, sis? And I also too gave another vote to Miss Morales. I heard she had some good things to think about the homeless, I think, or the mental health people. So sometimes you gotta. I am a one person. I love to see my people of color strive to succeed. I had put a post up not too long ago, not to deviate too much, Chuck, from what we're talking about, but I had put up a post about the movie The Heights. And you might have to scroll back down, or maybe if I go back, I'll tag you in it, and then you can see the comments. And then you can see where I told you one of my childhood friends came at me. And you might even know her. She was on the job. You know, she had the same rank as you. So I put out there the comment. And, you know, anybody that knows me, I put out thought-provocative stuff. There's only probably one person I may say, yo, I shake my head to him a lot, and that was 45. Otherwise than that, or maybe Mitch McConnell, you know what I'm saying? But otherwise than that, I really don't say a lot of derogatory things. If you ask me personally, I'll tell you what I feel. But otherwise than that, I put things out there, or I may ask you questions. So I had got it off the route where a Cuban Latino asked the director of the movie Heights, and I think they asked Lynn. Now, don't get me wrong. I support the movie. I'm going on paper, everybody. I'm supporting the movie because to see the movie from not too far where we live, Chuck, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We were Upper West Side until they changed it to Hamilton Heights. Right. But then, you know, some people wanted to call it the Heights. You know, it's 5 blocks over, 10 blocks up, left, whatever. You know, the Heights, whatever. But, you know, we understood what it's like to go to High Bridge and you know, go to Dykeman. And, you know, I mean, I come from the era where the gangs, you know, the Playboys, all kind of shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So to say that the question basically was, why didn't they have more people of color like yourself and me as leading roles in the movie instead of having more white fair skinned Latins in the movie playing? So he said, and like I tell everybody, please get the interview. And I was just asking all my Afro-Latino or just people in general, what did they feel about that? Because the elephant in the room is light is always, even in African Americans, light skin, dark skin. I'm sure that they have that somewhere in dark Italians, Sicilians over, you know, Italy, you know, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Haitians. You know all about that if you know what's going on over there. That shit is a fiasco. So I'm saying all that to say that light has always been right.
Mm-hmm.
The Cuban lady, the Afro-Cuban, she was basically saying, well, you know, why don't you have people like me as a leading role? And he said, that's a fair question. You know, like basically, yeah, that's a good elephant in the room. I don't have an answer for it. He's like,
right.
How about, he says, did you see more, you know, fair brown-skinned people dancing when they had the dance scenes? She was like, yeah, but we always get those roles because we're always dancing. You know what I'm saying? We always get those parts. And then, you know, listen, everybody, let me just say this. I have to say this since we talked about this. This is real talk. Can people of color not get jobs as dancers anymore? I see people dancing now on TV. No disrespect to my white sisters that can get down and boogie. But remember, there was one time, a long time ago, that was the one thing that we could do is dance. You know, we could get a job dancing. Now, big city dances, certain movies, stuff like that. You got white dancers.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can't even follow instructions. Blacks and Latins can't even follow instructions to dance anymore. Like, oh shit! Like, we're not good. Who's the choreographer? Because let me tell you something. I definitely will go on the record and say this. We all know ain't no white person dancing better than no black person. Listen, that's not a racist statement. That's just some fucking facts. You know what I'm saying? That's like Tom Brady is the GOAT. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Latin people dance better than white people. That's what it is. Let me tell you something. I'm not going to no white person to teach me how to do salsa. But I engage. I thought I'm not. You know.
Right.
I'm not going to a white person to teach me hip hop.
True.
So I mean, it's facts. You know, it is what it is. There's a little humor for the little real talkers. You know what I'm saying? But listen, hey, listen. It wouldn't be real talk if we didn't keep it real, right?
True.
I mean, if the podcast sometimes is too strong for you, man, get you a little drink and then join in. Maybe lubricate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Let your gills a little something, you know, lighten
it up a little bit. Lighten up.
Take off your pants and shit. Unbutton your pants.
Let's just come tight.
Let that COVID weight loosen up or something. Come on now. You know what I mean? Playing games with my emotions. You know? My man Cabrera said, because the white Latinos fit the fit for the movies. You know how it goes. Why didn't the Heights have dark-skinned Dominicans and dark-skinned Cubans? Absolutely, man. Yeah. You know, so I mean, that was just really what the conversation was about. And, you know, there's so much. Please, I ask you all, if there's anything that you want Chuck and I and Kevin to talk about, no matter whomever. Hey, Sharon, what's up? I'm sorry, I just saw you. Hey, Michelle. Anytime there's anything that you want to talk about, discuss, please inbox me. If you know you have my personal number, text me. It is all good. If it's worthy of real talk conversation, Chuck, Kevin, Pastor Kevin Graves and I, Allison and I, Al Taylor and I will definitely, you know, we're here to talk about it. We're definitely here to talk about. This is what real talk is all about. It's about transparency and having great dialogue. And what's up, cuz? I see you, Lamont, in the building. Be safe out there. That's my cousin Lamont. He's in the building. He's Baltimore PD. Please be careful. He's active, and he's about the father to be. I'm about to be just another cousin, but that's about the second cousin.
Oh, that's good.
I'm about to take that name. I'm gonna be that uncle cousin, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Anything else that's on your mind, Chuck? What are we feeling? What's going on? Like I said, politics.
I mean, did you see that? Did you see that thing, man, with those two kids, man? That shooting that was in the Bronx with those two kids.
Yeah.
I mean, by the grace of God, man, those two kids weren't hit. I think today they had like some type of they actually had a block party in that same neighborhood. The chief of department and then the police department had a block party there, and were in response to it. But still, in all, man, I mean, just the mere fact that it was in broad daylight. You have these kids went across the street to the candy store. I mean, this is where the city is at. And I went across the street, and here it is. This guy's running, and he knocks a 5-year and a 13-year-old down, and the guy's firing. By the grace of God, man, neither one of those two kids got hit.
I'm going to ask you, Chuck, and I'm going to ask the audience, the Real Talk audience out here, no matter what city you're in, from Canada, Boston, like I said, wherever you watching from Florida. I know that my people are all over. Baltimore, Lamont, you might have to want to chime in. Dan, Cabrera, let me ask you, why we could talk politics all the time, but that politics has nothing to do with the larceny in one's heart.
True.
Why do you think, and I'm asking this to the audience, and Chuck, you're the one that's going to answer first, of course. Why do you think the crime today is so savagery? Like it just everybody is it's almost like it's like the Purge movies almost. Like to actually try to kill somebody and see that the kids, not even his kids, right? Like just
right.
You tried to kill him so bad that you didn't care. Bullets don't, like, this ain't that movie with Angela Jolie where they was swinging a bullet and Morgan Freeman
goes around corners and
knocked off. Like he was trying to kill this guy so bad, and he still lived, right?
Yeah.
But thank God the kids didn't get shot. I just read about a man getting shot in the face.
Right.
a man trying to rape a person. The crime right now is just so violent. The violent nature, the mentality of the people is scary. Why do you think it is, Chuck? I mean, if just give me any insight, and everybody out there, please give me your insight with it too.
How can I? The only way that I can put it is, I don't know. When I came through in the police department, right, and even prior to that, yeah, all right. The police department, like any organization, has its problems, right? And we already know that, in all honesty, that the overall communities associated with law enforcement, if you were as a community of color, yes, there was different rules for communities of color than it were for communities that were white. But despite the circumstances, everyone, and I'm not talking about a fear, but there was an apprehension. There was some type of internal fear, regardless of the circumstances, not a godly fear, but an environmental fear of being out on the street. I mean, with a gun, with a knife, committing a crime, because you knew that the police were constantly being very active. Yes, stop and frisk was a bad tool in the sense that when it was used properly, yes, but when it was used in a wrong way, of course, the people that unfortunately were impacted greatly by it were men and women of color. But stop, question, and frisk made a perp think twice about coming out of the house with a freaking gun or doing some type of crime directly in the street, because you knew if you walked out, a cop would say, "My man, you come here," and you would think twice about coming out of the house with a gun. You thought twice about shooting someone. I mean, when someone used to get shot, generally when you found out about someone getting shot, it was usually like what? When it was dark, right? It's usually at night.
Yeah.
Because that was a perp's cover. I'm not gonna do this shit in broad daylight. I gotta get this cat at night so no one can see me. No one can visually give a description of me. I'll wear all black, whatever the case may be. Now, because there's been certain tools and resources that have been taken away from the police department. There's been certain legislative changes in the way that there's a true revolving door where someone commit a crime and they could be out of the precinct in the next 2 hours. Now it's like a free for all.
What kind of shit is that? Yo, that's what I'm saying. What I'm going to do, this is what I'm working, everybody. I'm going to put the cat out the bag right now. I'm going to set the schedule. I have a schedule. I have a free Tuesday. I always have a free Tuesday, the second Monday of the month. And I want to get all the Real Talk hosts, Chuck, Kevin, Allison, Al Taylor, Malika, and Allison Williams. I said Allison Williams and Pastor Kevin Graves. And we're just going to have a Real Talk round table. And that way we're gonna just talk about everything from religion to, we're going to get Pastor Graves' take on the religion. We're going to get, Allison's take from the industry, Al Taylor's take from the Kevin and I's take from the political. I mean, yours take too. So we're going to know how to get everybody. I meant to tell you that, so I'm trying to set that date up. Somebody give me the second date in July, the second Monday in July. If y'all can, just look on your calendars and tell me what that is, so we can all try to lock and get everybody in. I want everybody to come in. It's just sad. I think a lot of it stems from upbringing. They like, Chuck, not that people believe in reprimanding their children, because maybe
that's another issue, right? Society itself, we can't even discipline our own goddamn kids. So you got a kid that can't be disciplined. You got a police department can't do their job, or they go overboard with doing things that they shouldn't do with people of color. And it's like it's all screwed up. The whole system systemically from when the child is even born. I mean, give you a prime example. Even the school system, right? I mean, the school system itself. They see a child that has a belligerent issue. He's a problem in the class. You can't really do anything. You only can tell the parent, and you get a parent who sometimes, unfortunately, says, "Well, why are you always picking on my child?" I'm not always picking on your child. Your child is one that seems to be causing an issue, and maybe there's a possibility that the child needs to be looked at. Maybe he needs to be tested. Maybe there's some issues that he's having at home that we extensively need to review. But it all comes first.
And maybe he's just a bad little bastard. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, that little
he's a freaking baby kid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
ass. You know what I'm saying? Yo, beat his little ass, man. You know what I'm saying? Yo, let me tell you something. I tell people all the time. I get it. You know, some of y'all tried that timeout shit. That shit don't really work. You know what I'm saying? I mean, fear has always been instilled. Let me tell you something. I never forget. I messed up in school. My father went and beat my ass in front of everybody. Everybody thought the shit was crazy, but I never failed another class in my life.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
True. Yo, I never failed another class in my life.
Real talk.
You know,
real talk.
I played with fire one time. I got tore up. I ain't never touch a fire. I was scared to smoke a cigarette when I got older. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to touch a match. So I think right now people want to be friends with their kids. I get it. You know, certain children don't need. I've heard people tell me that their father didn't have to hit them because when he yelled at them, they felt so disappointed. They felt so bad that they disappointed their parent, that they understood that like a little girl didn't want to upset her father or a boy. You know, we know sometimes we needed our father to raise up. Yo, you know, you remember that's old black person.
Right.
You be like, oh my God, I don't know what he's going to do.
Exactly.
He starts gritting his teeth. Or you know what I'm saying? If my father skinned him up, like our parents, black parents,
true.
You know, West Indian people,
just the mere fact if your mom said, "Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna do anything. I'm waiting till your father comes home. I'm gonna tell your father."
Oh my!
And you go, "Oh no, with me instead. Don't tell dad. I don't care. Do what you got to do. No. I'm gonna let your father handle this." Right? You know, just the mere fact of that, there was an actual healthy fear. That healthy fear does not exist any longer. It is not in society. It's not in the school. It's not in social service. It's not with the police department. That healthy fear, that godly fear of me not wanting to disappoint, me not wanting to get in trouble. I don't want to hear I don't want to. That doesn't exist. And that's why you have this such large lawlessness. And everyone who's lawless, everyone who has these facets of grandeur in their mind saying, no, this is our time. They're out physically committing these crimes because there's nothing in place to stop them. And once again, based on these legislative changes, unless you practically murder somebody, you could walk into a precinct and then within the next 2 hours, before I finish the paperwork, you are literally walking out the door.
And Chuck, listen, everybody, full real talk, full transparency. Chuck and I would have lost our job if somebody would do some water or throw in a bottle and hit me upside my head.
Forget it.
Listen,
absolutely.
Take the gun.
No way.
I'll meet you. I got this. Listen, they would have been, it would have been, you would have thought it was a fight. Yo, the police department would have been trying to hold us back, because listen.
No way.
You would have got that handed to you out here.
Handed to them, yes, absolutely.
Listen, you would have been like, oh my God, this officer fighting like, yo, he talked about his I'm talking about straight,
absolutely.
Like no gun, just straight whipping.
I don't need that. No, straight. That's right, man.
Ass. Michelle has a question. Shout out to my man Gennaro in the building. Happy birthday, man. You at the stadium, brother? Okay. What's the score, G? Tell me the score. Michelle says, so let me ask. Stop and frisk was messed up because they stereotype people and use it to abuse our race. Absolutely. True. But with all of the killing that is going on lately, would you vote to bring it back if it was done properly? Chuck, you go first, and then I'll bring it.
No, absolutely. Because like I said before, it was a meaningful tool because 9 times out of 10, most people would assume that if they were walking or they were acting in a particular manner, they probably were going to get stopped. If it's done where it's not arbitrarily, it's not targeting people, that it's a numbers game, right? You get rid of what's it, because I remember it was a particular point where when you came through, you had to have a certain amount of stops, a certain amount of summonses, a certain amount of arrests every month. And it was a numbers game. And unfortunately, that numbers game was generated directly to our communities of color.
Absolutely.
If it's refined and it's brought back for its true meaning, which was to give a person a second thought about coming out of the house with a freaking gun for fear that they were going to be stopped and possibly frisked, guess what? It quelled the overall issue associated with crime. And most people went back to committing crimes, let's say, when it was dark, when it was late at night, when the cops on the midnight tour, when there was less cops on the street. I mean, even in narcotics, When we used to be out, doing enforcement, somebody saw that van driving back and forth through the neighborhood. Oh my God, the cats is out here, and they would shut down selling the drugs in their neighborhood. Right?
Yes,
It
absolutely.
was a deterrent. It was an absolute deterrent. And because the mere fact that they started thinking every van was a narcotics van, or every car that was blacked out might have been a narcotics cop, it made them think twice about wanting to commit a crime or knowing that they may get pulled over. So these guys considered very clearly when they were going to commit a crime. And it did. It quelled a lot of the issues directly in the street. But now, because of the fact that it was misused, it was abused, and it was a numbers game, and now it's something that's been told us relinquished, guess what? There is no fear of being stopped and possibly questioned. Now it gets to the point where I got to give you practically like my autobiography before I can get you to answer one of my freaking questions. I got to have a business card. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? I'm trying to conduct an interview, and I got to go through all these steps before I can get to the root of the issue. And I know this cat's got a gun. I see the way he's walking. I can smell it on him, but I got to go through all these steps.
And everybody out there right now, for full transparency, real talk, we can honestly, a police officer who is working right now can honestly see a person adjust his waist. And for us to train eye, for Chuck and I, or anybody in law enforcement, we know he holding. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We cannot stop him. What's the probable cause? There is no probable cause now. We can't even articulate that stop. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, with that being said, and just to answer your question, Michelle, I concur with Chuck. If it came back in another form without the quota, it has to be used without quota. It has to be used really to articulate why you stop somebody. And, let me tell you something. There are officers out there, white, black, Spanish, Asian, whomever, whatever nationality you want to say, that really want to do this job. Let's not get it twisted. People think I come at NYPD. I don't come at NYPD. I come at the racist NYPD. And not NYPD. I come at any police establishment, not NYPD, because I love NYPD. I've had so much fun working at NYPD. I've met some people that need to be on TV. I have. But I don't co-sign the BS. I can co-sign and let me tell you something. Any officer that's worked with me, Lucky, is in the building. Cabrera, I haven't changed. Still nicest dude as you want to be. When I'm in the street, I flip the switch. I do what I got to do, and I come back, and it's all shits and giggles. Otherwise than that, it is what it is. Thank you, sweetie. I see you July 12th. So, Chuck, put that on your date. July 12th is that Monday. But speaking of Michelle, I hope I asked you a question. I would like to see it come back in a form that maybe it's not called stop, question, and frisk. Maybe it's another name where it's Oh, thank you, Michelle. 712. Yeah, it's called proper stop or some shit. I don't know what it has to be something done where a felony has to come from it. Like this dude has a gun, because everybody is walking the street right now carrying weapons, and they're able to use it, and they're not afraid. And the work that the officers, everybody out there too, be careful with these. It's a big thing that was already known about these jersey plates that were fictitious, and they were in the commissions of crimes. So be careful of those jersey plates, and God forbid if you get into some kind of accident, you probably ain't gonna get paid because they're not real at all. But also, here we go. Send notification to the latest. Yes, allow. I just got stop computer. I'm working off both tablets now. All right. Just got this. I sent this to Stats, but he's not here. It said 4 NYPD officers say in a sworn declaration that an off-the-books arrest quota system targeted Black and Latino New Yorkers, with one cop recalling a white supervisor asking, "Are you going to take somebody's freedom today?" The new documents soon to be filed in Manhattan federal court, the Daily News has learned, add further detail to a long-running suit launched by 4 other minority cops claiming they faced retaliation for not arresting enough people of color. White officers alleged did not face the arrest expectations. Let's see what else they say in regards to this. Officer Charles Sproul, who retired in 2014, has come forward to claim that he was yelled at on a daily basis to meet arrest quotas. On one occasion in a 4-0 precinct, a white supervisor asked an African-American police officer, "Are you going to take someone's freedom today?" Sproul, who is black, says in an affidavit. The African-American officer had no choice but to say, "Okay, boss." Guess
who the person's name is in the suit?
Who's
the
that?
Officer, the supervisor. Red Rage.
Really?
If you continue to read, it's McCormick. He was the CO. Christopher McCormick. That's the supervisor. Yeah.
Yo, Chris, my man, you my man. Chris is my Facebook friend. How real talk is this? I'm reading this shit. Like I don't run from this shit, everybody. Like I'm 100 with it, man. I can call my own people out on the carpet. Chris was my supervisor. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. Last month, city attorneys filed a scatting submission in Manhattan federal court, slamming one of the original plaintiffs, Lieutenant Edwin Ramon, and insubordinate and unwilling to do his job. Ramon is running for city council. Oh, is he? While on leave from the force. Nice of you, Ramon. Okay. Individuals who are not part of this case have made some baseless accusations in new affidavits in an attempt to support plaintiff Meredith's case. A law department spokesman said Mr. Ramon's claim has no legal merit. Now they don't have no merit, right? Okay. Since the suit was filed in Manhattan federal court in 2015, some 24 current and retired officers have filed legal papers backing the claim that a race-based quota system disproportionately affected minority cops. So now listen, everybody, let me just say this is what I said before, right? I said this without even reading this. I said, why do you think officers of color come forward now and speak out, right? Why do they speak out? Because there's no fear. There's no retaliation that can be done against them. What, are you not going to be my Facebook friend? You're not going to buy me a beer at a retirement party? I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? If you couldn't beat me, if you couldn't beat me on the job, you sure can't beat my ass now. No. You know what I'm saying? So,
oh man.
Yeah, Cabrera said Chris has 9 lives. What's up, Luck? Thank you, brother. Thank you for always supporting, saying we have good topics. I appreciate you. You know, Lucky always tells a story about me, and I always laugh because I see him because I'm bringing it up first, Lucky, about me smacking my man around in the precinct that time. I mean, in the barn when he thought he was the champ, right? Luck tells the story better than me, but it was so funny. I always say a story ain't true unless somebody co-signs it. So then it says, taken together, the affidavits illustrate how the chance for lucrative overtime shifts have been used to induce cops to go along with commanders' demands. Let me tell you something for anybody who doesn't understand. Chuck and I also know, and we was a victim of it, Condor. Mm-hmm. Remember back in the day? Giuliani gave all the cops 0, but he gave us free reign on overtime.
Right.
He gave us 0. Mm-hmm. There are cops today that will say they dislike Giuliani just because he gave them 0s. But there might be the same ones that marched with Giuliani against Dinkins at City Hall. And they call Dinkins monkeys and stuff like that. And these are the same police officers that protect and serve, supposedly. How can you do that when you're going to call the mayor, when you talk about you follow a chain of command and you believe in a certain oath that you're going to call the mayor, your boss, a monkey and an ape and all kind of shit? Man, knock it off. So they also show how performance monitoring, a program ostensibly to help cops get better at their job, has allegedly been used to punish officers who don't meet arrest quotas.
True.
Everybody out
Very
there,
true.
we all know.
Performance monitoring was supposed to have been something where, in fact, it was to gauge, and if you had a weakness in some area, it was supposed to put you in a position that you get extra training so that it would improve you as a police officer. Instead, because you didn't meet the standards of other officers, I'm gonna put you on performance monitoring because you're not giving me what I want. So now you look like a zero, and now you have someone. Now they're trying to justify why they can either, depending if you're on probation, to fire you or to transfer you from out of, or to put something on your evaluations that you can never get transferred to, let's say, a special unit, but you can never apply for a special unit. You will always be stuck on patrol, which is, for everyone knows, everyone who's on patrol, there are some people that love patrol, but for the most part, your issue is that you want to get good evaluations and never be on performance monitoring so that you can move, whether it be into crime or conditions or narcotics or intel, where, once again, this particular tool that was supposed to be used for the purposes of enhancing and improving a police officer, to give them the necessary tools to be a better cop, they use it in the direct opposite to hurt the police officer with.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny how we had to do farm and go beyond the call of duty to just be considered equal. You know what I'm saying, Chuck? Like, wait a minute. Like, I know guys that have gotten grade, but got mad. Mad when. And Cabrera, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your old team. Cats maybe got grade, dude got grade, and then they was looking at the dude like, what? Because they didn't get it. But you ain't do what dude did. You know what I'm saying? We had to go beyond the call of duty. They said soft targets were Asian, Jewish, and white people who weren't to be arrested. Hard targets were Black and Hispanic people, the cop says. The NYPD has a lot of internal names for the arrest quota, but they all mean the same thing. The officers are supposed to bring in certain amounts of arrests and issue a certain number of summonses per month. Officer Sean Smalls, who is Black and retired in 2011, says is one of the new affidavits. The NYPD called the arrest quota and the internal logo of the police department many things. This code name included but are not limited to productivity, indicators, goals, activities, expectations, conditions, and or performance goals, like Chuck was saying earlier. Officer Mike Soto says in another of the new sworn declarations that the then commanding officer of the 4 precinct, he said, Chris McCormick, I know Chris personally, I guess working with him and listening to this is 2 totally different things, but everybody knows, anybody that's worked with Chris, you can believe this. Real talk. You can believe this. Arbitrarily lowered many minority officers' performance. Minority officers' performance evaluation scores after assuming his post in 2011. The evaluations are used to determine which cops receive overtime assignments to specialized units. McCormick changed the evaluation for no reason other than to implement a new strategy of hunting minority civilians in order to make the arrest quota, says Soto, who is Hispanic. McCormick has been promoted since the lawsuit was filed and now is an assistant chief. Officer Dan Quinones says says in his new sworn declaration that his commanding officer at Transit District 34, Constant Tashasha, I butchered that name, but y'all know it's some shit I can't pronounce, lowered the performance rating of officers who weren't meeting the race-based quota. basically, he would put you on the edge of performance monitoring and to dangle the carrot of overtime in front of the officers. Those officers who needed the overtime to live would have no choice but to go out and manufacture as many arrests and summonses as possible, said Quinones, who is Hispanic. The NYPD used overtime as a way to control its officers. He remains Tashashas remains with the NYPD in transit and has denied the allegations through his union. Minority officers who refuse to hunt Black and Hispanic civilians are stripped of overtime, negatively evaluated, and placed on performance monitoring, as Chuck has said attorney John Scola, who represents a plaintiff in this case. The toxic culture which permeates the NYPD forces officers to choose between standing up for what is right and being able to fear for their families. Chuck, how crazy is this? And hi, darling, how are you? Everybody, my other host is here. Malika Forrest is in the building.
Hi, Chuck.
And she said, hi, Chuck.
Hey, Malika.
And so, Chuck, just give me your personal take on knowing, not that you've ever experienced it, but just, if you can, just touch into the psyche of what you think it would feel like. Now we all know this shit is true. You know what I'm saying? Right. Nobody's sitting here talking about, we're going to deal with the elephant in the room. We all know this is true. But what do you think this would make a officer, a rookie, a newbie, an officer that's trying to advance his career, just trying to do the right thing, feel with the pressures of arresting his own? Because people have always asked us, I'm sure, Chuck, people have asked you, they've asked me, oh, what would you do if you saw officers mistreating your own kind? Well, I could always say that's never happened on my watch. But I don't know what happens when somebody brings a collar into the precinct. I don't know. I can't. Who am I to question it? We're not going up to the person saying, what happened? Is this collar valid? Did you do this? But what do you think this does to, what kind of pressure it puts on an officer to do things, to force them do their job in a way that hopefully they didn't violate their oath, but just to do their job when they probably really didn't want to, or push or tweaked it just to keep the pressure off their ass? What do you think their psyche was, Chuck?
Well, honestly speaking, I think when I was in the 4-6 precinct, which is ironic, some of the articles I've been reading, and I was actually the training lieutenant, right, that I oversaw, a field training. I had 2 classes, and there were officers that, actually would come to me. And they were intelligent, they were sharp kids, and they asked me very, clearly, it says, Lou, between you and I feel kind of funny putting handcuffs sometimes on some of the people that look just like me. And I was like, look, the bottom line is this. If in fact you're making the arrest, which I've told everyone, and it's in good faith, you know the law, and you know for a fact that they actually did commit this crime. It's not something that you're sitting there and you're manufacturing. Then you can rest assured that you could feel positive about making the arrest. But the one thing I used to do with my guys, especially the people that I was training as officers when they came through, even though there might have been a standard in which they wanted these guys to do a certain amount of summonses and bring in a certain amount of arrests, I should tell them very clearly, you're not going to manufacture an arrest. If you don't get an arrest that month because there was nothing there, which most people would say, which is funny, because there were cops that would say you very, very clearly, hey, there's always an arrest someplace in the 4-6.
We always heard that.
When I used to hear that shit, my fucking hair used to stand in the back of my neck. My man, don't tell me there's always an arrest in the 4-6. No, that's bullshit. You're manufacturing or you're creating an arrest so you can get on the sheet. No, I should tell these kids that's not what you're doing. So it's about a police officer knowing that if he's making an arrest, it has to be in good faith and it has to be within the standard of the law. If you're Black, white, or Hispanic, you break the law, you break the law. It doesn't make a difference. But when you start manufacturing, you start going in that gray area just so you can put handcuffs on someone. See, now you got a problem, because if you're going to go in a gray area there, what else are you willing to do later on down the line that now it's almost it's felonious to some degree. You're perjuring yourself. You're bending the rules just so that you can say, hey, I have these guys that used to always boast. Well, how many arrests do you have for the year? And I'm like, whoa. What do you mean? Well, I got 150 arrests. Yes, I bet you 150 arrests. I bet you at least 85 of them shits are questionable. I guarantee you, 85 of them are questionable.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, listen, the reason I was able to articulate, people know I like to talk anyway, but the reason why I was able to articulate and become an expert witness for the Bronx DA's office, because I went to tell the truth. When I got on to testify on any case that I've been on, it was easy.
Mm-hmm.
It was about truth. You can lie, that whole, I don't recall shit most of the time. It's something that's really not going to be really forthright, Yeah, definitely, Steph. It is sad. Everybody, this is Real Talk, man. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Chuck Riches, and our other host, Kevin Stats. Branzetti is doing his thing, trying to save the world on another stats.
Yeah.
We talk about you, baby.
Right.
We want to know what you think about when this situation with January 6th, people getting the first person getting arrested, getting slapped on the wrist. Wow. I see my man Conrad is in the building. Shout out to Conrad. Conrad, one day we're gonna have to get you on the show, brother. You've been around the world. I met you. You was already fighting the power, Conrad. That's my dude. Much respect to you, brother. Anybody, if you ever want to come on the show, you're more than welcome to ask. Come on, please. Come in with some good questions. If you're gonna come on here and bash law enforcement, you're gonna cause us to counter that. But come in here with some facts if you want to bash law enforcement. If you're gonna come on and praise law enforcement, you might get it shot down if it's not true. So I employ all former law enforcement. I employ all civilians to come on. The bottom line is Chuck, Kevin, and I are here not to diminish anything that we've done in our lives and in the job that we swore. We took an oath and we swore and upheld. But of course, the beautiful thing about Kevin, he has no problems to deal with the elephant in the room. And sometimes his Simba is a little colorblind. That's my dude. That's my dude. But Kevin will tell you he sees it from white eyes, and that's all right.
Yeah.
He's supposed.
And that's good though, because you need that perspective. You need that other side, man. So you have something to feed that that fire. So I give him a lot of credit for coming on here, brother, because I've sat back in the cut. Just seeing the two of you go back and forth, I'm like, he's taking a beating right now.
Yeah. And sometimes, remember that video game? Was it a PlayStation or Atari, and they had Glass Joe, and it was Mike Tyson, and you had to be Glass Joe, and then he'd be like, "Yo, body blow," but then it's like,
right.
And when you would hit them,
right.
he'd go, shit. Yo, shit right there, yo. You know what I'm saying? We definitely miss Detective Stabler tonight. We definitely miss Stats. Stats is my man. He brings a different perspective, and I'm glad he brings it. So everybody, Chuck, before we get out of here, so hopefully we lock in the 12th. I'm gonna talk to the whole Real Talk Chronicles family, and I'm trying to get everybody here on the 12th. And we could just have a just good old round table real talk, and we could just talk about all the elephants in our lives and in rooms. Who knows where that conversation will go? Next week we got Pastor Kevin Graves in here. Trust me, we have a spiritual walk, but listen, Pastor keep it 100, man. That's why he's on Real Talk. You never know what he's going to talk about. The 4th of July. I'm sure I'm not going to do anything on the 4th. That's a holiday. And I think that's a Monday, right? Correct? I think it might be here. Everybody is tomorrow. So we won't be here on the 4th, but we will be back that Wednesday, of course. And then that 12th, we're going to try to bring everybody back so we can chop it up and get real busy in it. So, Chuck, before we get out of here and have a good night and get our libation on, give the people some positive affirmation or whatever you want to say. You started off with a great PSA, man. So
yeah, I mean, I'm going to piggyback on that again. Once again, brothers and sisters, mainly brothers, understand this, man, that your health is important. Don't think that you're ever vulnerable or inferior, or it just make you less of a man if you're going through something. Women have support groups. They have people that they'll call in a minute, speak to a girlfriend, a best friend, their mother, whomever, when they're going through something, whether it be emotionally, physically, or mentally. But we have to get out of the mindset that by doing so as men, that it makes us appear to be weak. Vulnerability is a condition of all human beings. And in terms of just feeling, knowing your body is telling you something, listen to it. Don't put yourself in a position that later on you find out that there's an issue you might have been able to address. And there are so many men and women who rely on you, who want you to be here. You mentor, you teach, you advocate for. Be there for them. Be here. Once again, God has given everyone various gifts. One gift He's given to doctors to be able to diagnose, and two, He's given us the freedom of choice. Try to make the right choice when it comes to your health. And that's all I can say. And I know that I've seen too many friends of mine who felt certain things internally, knew something wasn't right, and they just said, "Oh, it'll go away. It'll go away." Let's not do that to ourselves. And especially if you pull through this pandemic, we have so many reasons to be here, to live. Do what you can, man, to put a couple of extra years on your life. Yeah, it may mean that you can't eat that sloppy Joe sandwich every fucking night, or you can't go out freaking booze in 6 days out. Yeah, so what? It's a sacrifice you need to make. And if you really understand the gift of life that the man upstairs is giving to you, try to do the best you can to be here to use it. You know what I'm saying? So, like a peace and blessings to everybody, man. And please just think about your health, because you ain't going to be of any good to anybody else if you don't take care of yourself.
Absolutely. I concur with everything just Chuck said. Let me just say, Conrad, listen, holla at me, man. I want to get you on one of these shows, brother. I really do. I'd love to hear your perspective on a lot of things. Lucky too. Chucky, Luckman said, "What's up, Chuck?" He said, "You're looking good, brother."
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Everybody, first, and let me just say this. I humbly appreciate all of you that chime in from wherever you are in the world, and on Instagram and YouTube, for supporting Real Talk. Chuck is a person that he's seen it grow from the bedroom. When I say the bedroom, the living room, where we've had 60 people in my house on one Saturday of the month, and then he's seen me take it to the town halls and the auditorium. So now to be with me, I appreciate you for being with me still. Doing a podcast, and it can only grow. So I ask you all, if you support it, you like it, let somebody know, share it, because the bottom line is I'm not giving it up. As long as you support us, I extend the olive branch to anybody that wants to come up and have dialogue. The one thing about Real Talk, it's your opinion. Now, we might fact check your ass. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Come on here with some idiocy. We gonna fact check you.
Right.
If you come on here and articulate your position, it is all good. Whether we agree or disagree, we're adults and we have open dialogue, and that's what Real Talk is about. Please stay safe. Watch yourselves, and no matter what city you live in, protect yourself. There's still a pandemic out here. What is this new thing, Delta? Or what is the new thing that's out right now? That
is different strands, man.
Something. Listen, I can't tell anybody what to do for themselves. You don't want to take the vaccine, fine. You want to take the vaccine, fine. I know what I did or didn't do. That's my thing. If you ask me, I'll tell you what I did, and I'll tell you why I did it. But I'm not sitting here to tell you what you should do. I'm just telling you to protect yourself. Some people don't believe that you may believe that the vaccine is some poison, whatever. Okay, but you wearing that mask, you do believe that there's a vaccine, that there's a virus out here. So you may not believe about the vaccine, but you do believe there's a virus. Just take precautions. Protect yourself. Mask up. You know, the world is opening up. It's like, you know, this world is like kids. We're all like kids, like, oh shit, our parents can let us go out and, you know, and we can play. Yeah. But you know what's so funny? Don't mean you got to stop washing your hands and covering your mouth, coughing and shit. You know, some of y'all just was booming. Wash your hands and shit. Sometimes I just got to be B. You know what I'm saying? Please protect you. Watch yourselves. The 4th of July is coming up. The city is crime is is peaking. Try to make sure that you're not a victim. Do things responsibly, mature. Listen, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Chuck Richards. I'm Bill Foster. Malika is in here somewhere. There she is. Hey, sweetie.
Hello.
Gotta give wife props.
We're out in props, brother.
July 12th, we're gonna have the Real Talk Forum. I'm gonna put it all together right now. I'm sending out the text messages, and we're gonna put everybody on the table. If there's a topic you want to talk about, I'm telling you, let us know. Luckman said, God bless, guys. Stay safe. You too. Lowe's, how are you? Eddie said, I remember when Real Talk started, and it has truly grown. Thank you, Ed. Eddie Vieira's in the building. And Ed, you've been there with me since, you know, my mom said, appreciate you, Steph. Talk to you, everybody. We out of here. If y'all want to know just a little sports announcement, we're going to even do a sports show. So all you sports figures, let me know what y'all want to talk about. Milwaukee's leading 45-41. Who y'all got? Go Knicks. Oh, they're not in it. Yo, Yankees, I'm with it. Islanders are still in it. Jacob deGrom is kicking ass for the Mets. He's doing things off the chain. So you know I'm all New York. I'm clapping. Brooklyn, where you at? Oh, you home? You
That's right.
Juices.
Yeah.
But listen, they're gonna come back next year. You know they're gonna come back with a vengeance. Too much talent.
Absolutely.
Them boys are gonna come back beast mode. All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Chuck, tell them bye, baby.
Good night. Peace and blessings to everybody.